Today's morning power up call. It's going to be doing this. I am now live, so go ahead and I guess you'll be seeing this after you refresh, but it's time to go here. I'm curious. It's morning for me. It's morning time for me. Who else in the chat? If it's morning where you live, put a 1. If it's definitely not morning, put a 2. I'm just curious what percentage of you guys see this in the morning, what percentage of you guys see this in the afternoon. So in the chat, go ahead and put a 1 if it's the morning time for you. Put a 2 if it's not. I'm just curious, so I can see that later as I go to review that. So guys, welcome to today's morning power up call. As far as announcements go, today we've got a live copy review call at 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So that's in some hours from now, maybe 5 hours from now? No. 2 plus 3. Yeah, 5 hours from now. 5 hours from now, we're gonna be doing that. Yeah. Okay, so most of you, I'd say about half of you, it's completely not in the morning. Okay, cool. Good to know. So today, this afternoon, and about 5 hours from now, we'll be doing a live copy review call where I will be breaking down students' copy live. There's a bunch of people who have submitted copy. I'll be looking at 5 that I just pick at random with a random number generator. I'll be doing an in-depth dive of each of those. If you haven't attended one of those, I highly recommend you do. I open up for Q&A as I go through. I do a Q&A at the end. It's a good chance for you guys to see how I review copy, how I think about copy, and also how you can take and learn those lessons and apply it to yourself. So that's today. Tomorrow, I'm going to be doing a copy review call where instead of reviewing a student's copy, I'll be reviewing some OG copy from one of the great direct response marketers from back in the day and breaking down and stealing the lessons that we can then apply to your own stuff. Again, the entire purpose of these live calls is to continue to improve your marketing IQ. Things you can't do if you just watch a video and then try and figure it out yourself. I want to give you guys an opportunity to come in, do an interactive learning experience with me as we extract lessons from copy live. Hopefully your copy if you're one of the lucky 5. So that's what we got as far as announcements goes today. So let's dive into the actual content, the actual stuff here. Actually, first, I want to clear up one question. So I've been getting a question a lot in the chats about doing 20 outreaches per day versus 40, and how you're supposed to do that and create free value. Because I don't recommend you just tease free value anymore. I recommend instead of doing that, you actually provide something valuable from that first interchange at the very beginning and tease some new idea or tease some new opportunity to talk with them. And a lot of people are like, wait, how do I find 20 people, come up with an outreach for 20 people, and then write 20 pieces of free copy for these people? Like, how do I do that? That seems impossible. That's like 30 hours in a day. So 2 things. First of all, use AI. You have to use AI, 100%. We're in a world now where you have to if you want to do anything at scale. AI can help you save a significant amount of your time when it comes to creating copy, creating outreach, all that stuff. Obviously, you as the human need to tweak and work and improve that, but you can use AI to speed up and hit 20 a day. If you still can't hit 20 a day, if you want to do more personalization, you're still not that good at using AI and turning AI into something that's actually really super valuable, by all means, and I don't really care, you can drop the number of outreaches down to 10. You can do 5 a day. I don't really care, right? The number of outreaches you do a day, it should be as many as you possibly can, while still keeping, within reason, right? Like, you shouldn't just be blowing out 300, 400, 100, or even 50 new outreaches a day just because that's most likely going to get you marked as spam by most email senders these days. But you can do as few as you need as long as you're getting results, right? You should always be trying to do more in a day until you kind of hit that 20 to 30 a day sort of ceiling. But how many you do each day is not as important as doing it consistently each day and doing it well each day. That's what matters more. So I don't really care. Like, when you read the daily checklist and it says 20 and it says adjust as needed, like, you can pick your own number, especially if you don't have all day to work on copywriting. Maybe you've only got 2 hours in a day. Dude, you need to adjust that number and be completely okay with doing that, because you're a human being and you have the right to adjust things as you need to match your situation. So by all means, drop it down to 5 if you need to. Still try and shoot for 20, try and find a way to do it, because it is possible. I've done it. I've used AI. I've tested it out. You can do it. It's difficult, but you can do it. But feel free to adjust that as you need. So that's just a little administrative thing I wanted to clear up. Make sure if anyone in the chats asked that question, it's in the frequently asked questions. I've got the answer in there. But if anyone in your Legion or stage or whatever asked that question, be sure to help point them in the right direction if I'm not in there answering it right away, because I really only answer the questions in the Ask Professor Andrew channel. Make sure I get all those questions. There's never anyone missed. If someone posts a question in the Ask Professor Andrew channel, I always answer. So make sure that if you have questions as we move forward, ask them in there. Happy to answer all of your questions. Now, let's get into today's actual content. Now, this is going to be a fun one. I've had lots of students come to me right? And the Ask Professor Andrew channel and other places, and be like, Andrew, I've got a huge problem, right? Or Andrew, emergency, emergency, emergency. I've got a huge problem, right? They come to me with something like that, and it's always interesting, right? Because that's like the frame that they've taken around this particular problem. And the problem they have it's an important problem, but it's not what I would call a huge problem, right? I'm very, very careful with how much power I give the problems I face in my life and how much size and magnitude I give them. And it's always interesting when someone goes out of their way to make the problems they're currently facing even bigger, right? Most of the time, it's something like I need to figure out how to do subject lines, or someone to reply back to me. What do I say? And they blow it out of proportion. They make it really, really big. I think it's interesting, right? Because I'm going to ask you a question. First of all, most problems that you guys are facing in copywriting are not what I would call a big problem, right? Your survival is not on the line. You're not going to die if you don't get it right. It's not. It's an important problem. It's one you need to solve to get an important goal that you have, but it's not something that I would call a big problem. I'm going to show you guys an example of what I would think is a big problem. Like this is the kind of problem I will allow myself to qualify as big. And even then, I'm going to try and take some control in the situation. But I'm going to show you guys a quick example of a big problem. Now, this is from a series. I'm just going to show you a short clip here. This is from a series called Band of Brothers. It was a film. It was a series, a TV show they made back in the day about the 101st Airborne in like their journey from Germany, from like Normandy all the way to, from like their training camp to Normandy to Market Garden, all the way to Bavaria. And this is the part where they're in the Battle of the Bulge and Bastogne. Now, for those of you who don't know the context of this, they were surrounded. They were surrounded by the Germans, the 101st Airborne. They were cut off. They didn't have enough ammunition. They didn't have enough supplies, medical supplies. They didn't have enough food, not enough water. There was really, really bad like clouds, so they couldn't bring the American Air Force in to support them. So they were stuck, and they were surrounded by Germans in the freezing cold, right? So they were out there for weeks and weeks and weeks stuck out there. And this is a short clip of kind of what a day in the life would be if you were stuck out there with the 101st Airborne. So we're going to watch this really quickly. And this is what I would qualify as a big problem. This right here. So.
Incoming! Take cover!
Big problem. They're out there in the cold, living in holes, and they're getting shelled incessantly by the Germans. Right? Boom, dropping in there. No, nothing's free. You can see all like the tree stuff on the ground. Guys getting blown off left and right. Trees falling down. The earth shakes. I've never been on the receiving end of an artillery barrage. I've been on the giving end of an artillery barrage. And it's an intense experience. There's not a lot this guy can do to survive. It's kind of just like you can take some cover and then just it's up. It's just you got to see if you're going to be lucky or not, if you're going to make it, right? Things are literally blowing up, exploding all around you. There's nothing you can really do except to take cover and pray and hope for the best. This is the platoon started to run around trying to help everyone get safe, and he's stuck out in the open. Finally, just rolls over in the field position and just like hopes he can survive.
For some reason, at that moment in that half-finished foxhole, all I could think about was the 4th of July when I was a kid. I loved to make my own firecrackers, cherry bombs, ladyfingers.
Nothing he can do.
I love to blow up dirt bombs and
trees
pop
blow
bottles
up all
and
around them.
Look forward to
His
it.
survival is a complete matter of chance.
What I saw that day was the most awesome and terrifying display of firepower I'd ever seen in my life.
This is not a tiny problem. This is a big problem. And even in that situation, I would try to find some way to like detach from it and stay. Obviously, it's difficult. But this is a big problem because look, yeah, guys are dying. They're getting their legs blown off. This dude, for example, here, old Foy, right? He wakes up from being concussed after going through this entire thing. And, he's not feeling so good. He sits up in a second and you're going to see what has happened to him, right? Mr. Ford wakes up. He looks down. He's like, I wonder if this is a small problem or a big problem I have right now. Oh, yep, that's a big problem. I don't have all on my leg. That, my friends, is a big problem, right? That's a big problem. Not knowing what kind of subject line to do, that's not a big problem. So that's the first thing that you want to do when you're facing a problem. You want to give yourself the greatest amount of power you have the greatest amount of power possible to try and solve that problem. If you think that the problem is huge, if you make it to where it seems like it's a big, huge, giant hurdle that you have to go over, it's limiting your power, your ability to influence it, right? What I like to do when I'm faced with a problem or a difficult situation is I like to detach, right? I like to get out of myself and kind of imagine I'm looking down on the situation from above, from a third party perspective, like I'm an all knowing God. And I'm looking down at myself and I'm looking down at the problem, completely detached. And you know what? Funny thing is, when I do that, the problem doesn't seem as big. It doesn't seem as big of a problem. And I can usually see exactly the simple steps I need to take to do it. They're not always easy steps, but they're simple steps. And I can almost always spot it when I detach away from that. And what it does is it minimizes the problem. The problem seems like it's very, very small. I had a friend one time, and he was telling me that he ended up owing, or something happened where he needed to come up with like $2 million really, really quickly, really fast, right? And in his mind, $2 million seemed like a huge amount of money. Like it was a big, big deal. And it was a big problem for him. It was a really, really tough situation. But what he told me he did to kind of flip his brain so he could actually have power over the situation is he viewed himself as like Godzilla standing over a tiny little pile of $2 million. And then whenever he stood like that, he imagined just in his mind, it was just a little thought that came to his brain, but it flipped everything in his mind. Because then all of a sudden he's like, oh, $2 million isn't that much. Like in the big scheme of things, it's not that much, right? If you think about it, there's 8 billion people on the earth. We live like millions and millions and millions of miles from the sun. We're a tiny speck in space. $2 million or whatever problem you're facing is really just a tiny little thing. If you believe your problem is tiny and it can be easily solved, when you approach it, you're gonna have more resources to bear. You're gonna be able to feel like you have more control, and you're gonna win. You're gonna feel way better, right? If I was in an artillery barrage, I would detach myself from the situation. Try and look at it from a third party perspective and be like, all right, here we go. We're gonna live or we're gonna die. I've been in situations not even close to that, but situations where things were out of my control. It was a big problem, and my survival was on the line. And that's all you could do. You just detach and say, okay, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to focus on this little part here, but there's nothing I can do. You just detach, and it keeps you able to solve problems and influence your world. So you guys, when you face problems, when you see things, your biggest problem isn't the problem itself. It's the meaning you attribute to the problem, right? The biggest problem you face as a student is the meaning and the scale to which you attach to your obstacles and challenges you're facing. If you can flip your brain a little bit. Now, this is positive mental gymnastics. Most people do mental gymnastics to run away from pain or run away from a problem so they don't have to try and solve it. This is the opposite. This is mental gymnastics that gives you power over your problems so you can bring more resources to bear. I talk about this when I talk in the power up call in the lesson on reaching a more powerful state. If you can improve your relative size and strength of the problem just in your mind, now, you don't have to spend like an hour doing this. Like this is like a 10-second exercise in your brain. If you can do this, you can face any problem with more confidence, with greater ability to marshal your own resources and your knowledge and find solutions than if you blow your problem up and make it a big problem in your brain. If you spend all your time and energy making your problems big, you're going to have a hard time solving. If you make your problems small inside of your own mind, then you can turn around and you can steamroll those problems 9 times out of 10. I woke up this morning and I had a new problem. I had a new problem that I hadn't experienced before. I wasn't looking forward to it. It just happened. Big problem, right? Big problem in the big scheme of things. And I got to exercise this. And I'm like, this is perfect timing because this is the lesson I was planning to talk with you guys about. This is perfect timing. So I did this exact same thing. I have my problem. I have me. I detached from the situation. I kind of shifted my perspective. In my mind's eye, I imagined I was looking down on Professor Andrew sitting here in his chair, thinking about his problem. I looked at it from a distance and it became very clear. Okay, I've got this thing I need to do, this thing I need to do, this thing I need to do. 3 things. This is the time I have to do it. This is when I'm going to do it. Simple. I've got a solution now. Now, when I pop back into my normal experience, I have a clear path forward. I am in control of the situation. I'm not angry or upset or out of control or worried about this giant problem. I'm in control because I have used my mind to give myself power in the situation to win. Now, there's a lot to this. I've teased some really, really powerful ideas for you guys. I want you guys to start thinking about this, start applying this. Look at the problems and challenges you face and give yourself more power to solve them. It's an easy step. It takes, like I said, 10 seconds. But what it will do is it give you a greater ability to move through those problems and challenges with speed. The faster you move, the faster you smash these problems, the easier it is to smash the next problems, and the faster you'll be at getting what you want in this world. So the biggest problem you guys face as students is not the problems that you have, but it's the scale and the size and the meaning that you attach to those problems. And the good news is you are in complete control of that meaning, right? You're in complete control of it. Just shift it and give yourself some more power, right? And I don't care how bad your problem is, it's not as bad as their problem. I don't know anybody right now who's under an artillery barrage inside of the campus. If that's you, then we need to talk. You got some serious problems, right? We maybe help you, but no one has a problem like this. No one has a problem where they're waking up and, oops, don't have a leg. I got blown off by German artillery. That hasn't happened to any of you in the last 24 hours. It's not a thing. So your problems are actually really, really small. And if you can give yourself power and you can diminish those problems inside of your mind, you can find clear paths to succeed. If you do that, you'll win way better, way more than the guy who sits back and thinks about how bad the problems are. If you read the accounts of these guys who are getting constantly shelled or under attack, the guys that focus on about how bad the enemy were, they broke down, their minds and broke. But the guys who focused on what they could control and were looking for solutions, they were able to keep their mind together, at least for the war, and survive, right? Or do better, right? Than the guys who sat back and thought about how bad the situation was that they're in. That doesn't help. Focus on a way to win. Focus on a way to minimize, or focus on the part of the problem that you can solve. And you'll have way more power than the guys who worry about how big the problem is. Guys, take this information, apply it. This applies to much, much more than copywriting. I'm giving you guys golden secrets here. I want you guys to use them. And that's the only reason I give them to you, is because I want you guys to use them. If I give you these ideas and you don't use them, I'm going to stop giving people cool ideas. This is the kind of stuff that this is major life hacks here. This is secrets of the universe kind of stuff. But I only do give them to you because I know there are those of you on this call who are going to use them, and they're going to use them to change their life and use them to build an incredible life. So I want you guys to do this today. Take a problem that you're facing, and I want you to detach from it. And I want you to minimize that problem in your brain. And I want you to find clear solutions for it. And when you're done, to show me that you're serious, to show me that you're the kind of person who's going to take this and actually apply it to improve your life, right? It's not just enough to have knowledge. You have to not, like, you get the knowledge so you can apply it so you can improve your life. If to show me that you're the kind of person who does that, go into the mindset channel, tag me, tell me about the problem you diminished and what you're going to do to solve it. That's what I want to hear today. If I go back in, I'm going to go answer questions and Ask Professor Andrew channel for a minute. If I get done with that and I go to the mindset channel, I expect to see students and they're saying, hey, I'm doing this. This is what I did. I did this little exercise. It's shifted my problem this way. I want to see who of you are serious about applying the lessons I teach you. If I see people that are doing it well, I'm going to continue to share some cool stuff. I've got a lot of powerful mental tools you guys can use, and I'll start to share some of those, the ones that I can with you guys, if I see that there's enough of you who are serious about applying these ideas, because I'm telling you, this will give you major power, and not just in copywriting, but in every aspect of your life, fitness, relationships, anything that you're trying to change and improve. Using this mental tactic will give you more power. So I want to see what you guys do. So if that's what you're like, I'm going to go check the mindset channel in probably an hour or two after I get my first batch of questions answered inside of the Ask Professor Andrew channel. But that's what I expect to see today. So keep your eyes on the announcements channel. I'll be continuing to give you guys more information about today's copy review call, about future resources, about a lot of things that are coming up inside the campus. Go check it out. I'm excited to continue providing stuff for you guys. We're going to be redoing the marketing bootcamp, or the copywriting bootcamp. Got it all outlined. Just need to sit down and record it, get it edited, and send that out to you guys. There's going to be a major upgrade inside that. I'll give you a little guide to go through for those of you who have already finished the bootcamp of what to go pay attention to, what the big changes are, so you can go get that cleaned up. But that's coming down the pipeline. So keep your eyes on announcements. My friends, this has been a good call. It's been a good chance to share some stuff with you. Go out and apply it. I'm excited to see your responses in the mindset channel. I'll be giving you guys feedback as I can inside the mindset channel. If you have problems or issues with applying this exercise, I'll go answer them there as well. My friends, it's been a good call. I will talk to you guys again tomorrow morning for me. Tomorrow, not morning for half of you. It's been a good call. I'll talk to you guys then.